things can change really rapidly, and things are changing rapidly when it comes to electrification.
Yeah, you're confident electric vehicles can survive minus 45 degrees going across the prairies with 5 charging stations?
I don't own an electric vehicle. I don't own a vehicle, full stop, but my service vehicle is a fully electric, is 100% EV, and I take the train as much as I can between Montreal and Ottawa, but we take the car even in the winter, and it works.
Yep.
Norway, as you may know, is a cold country.
We're not talking about Norway.
50% of vehicles sold in the cold country that is Norway are electric vehicles today. It can be done.
Not the size of Canada, though.
3,000 kilometers from one coast to the other.
What is the average cost of an electric vehicle in Canada?
I don't know that by heart. We could provide that information to you by writing.
So you're going to be mandating Canadians to buy electric vehicles and you don't know the cost of them?
Again, 50% by 2030, 100% by 2035. Most experts agree that by 2024, 2025, there will be no cost difference between internal combustion engine and electric vehicles. So our mandate
today, though,
will come.
Canadians are concerned about today.
But we're not mandating anything today, sir.
Okay. So they're right now.
We're encouraging.
So Toyota was in front of the committee here a while back, and they said that basically the average cost of a zero emissions vehicle was $56,000, double the price of a gas-powered vehicle. So, Minister, the average median household income in my riding is just below $50,000. Not all Canadians make $270,000 like you, Minister. So do you believe these vehicles are affordable?
First, as I said, most experts agree that by 2024, 2035, there will be no cost difference between electric vehicle and internal combustion engine. And our mandate comes years after that. The first part of the mandate comes in 2030. So way before the cost difference between internal combustion engine and electric vehicles will come into force. And you have to remember that right now EVs are more expensive to buy. They're way cheaper to operate. And if you look at the full life cycle cost of owning and operating a vehicle, there are substantial épargne, my apologies, savings, thank you, Mr. Chair, that can be done. So simply looking at the cost of purchasing the vehicle is only looking at half of the equation.
Okay.
10 seconds, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
my. So you're...
Time flies when we're having fun.
10 seconds. That's fine. I'm done, yeah.
Taylor Roy.
I could try and give you an answer, but I think Andrew could give you a much better answer than I can on that.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Member. Yeah, certainly the $7.5 million that are in supplementary estimates do go directly, there is a portion that goes directly into our wildfire preparedness, our wildfire preparedness program, which actually does, I think, 3 things that are important to talk about. One is it does fire safe around different communities and economic interests that we have close by in parks. It also looks at the effect of fire on biodiversity and our ways of projecting into what will go on in fire, and from a fire prevention perspective, looks at how we would reduce some of the fuel stores through prescribed burn type of operations that we do in many places across the country.
Great. Good to know. So those funds will be going into the protection.
We go
Wonderful.
directly into those.
Thank you very much. And I was also wondering about the funding to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to the transportation and methane waste sectors. I'm not sure where that question should be directed, but I think there's an additional $9 million in funding requested for that area. And could you share with me how the committee is going to be ensuring credible reduction in greenhouse gases as a result of that investment? So
we're doing a lot of work on trying to shift Canada's economy from a linear economy to a circular economy. And that certainly includes waste management. We're putting a big emphasis on plastics for obvious reasons, but we're looking at the whole waste equation. It's a work we're doing with the Canadian Council of Ministers of the Environment, and landfill gas, landfill methane emissions is actually one of the few low-hanging fruits we still have in terms of emission reduction. The technologies are very mature. We know how to do that. It's been done in many parts of the country, and it's relatively easy to count the emission reduction. I mean, nothing is easy in this file, but this is in the easier category of the non-easy things we have to do.
Okay, good. So you expect to see very positive results in that area?
Yes, absolutely, and lots of collaboration with provinces, territories, municipalities. Everyone agrees that, these emissions shouldn't be going up into the atmosphere. They can be captured, transformed into biogas. You can burn it to produce electricity. There are a number of things that we can do rather than just let it go up and contribute to global warming.
Great, thank you. And then the third question I had was actually about the National Parks funding for urban parks. And I'm very pleased to see that there's going to be funding for additional urban parks across Canada. I think they're incredibly important, especially with extreme climate events, as we've seen that they make a huge difference, having green space in urban areas. And I was just wondering, is there an allocation of funds to help municipalities or regions create urban parks, and can they be created from existing protected spaces that aren't urban parks?
Andrew, would you provide some details?
Thank you.
Yeah, certainly. I'm happy to, Certainly, I'm happy to do that again. I had to off mute, so I guess even when you're live. Yes, so there are funds that are going towards national urban parks that help both, and because of the three things that urban parks are trying to do, and one of those being the reconciliation with Indigenous populations in the urban centers as well, that there are funds available both for the municipalities as well as for the Indigenous groups as we move forward across. And we are in the process with the Minister of signing agreements with mayors and Indigenous groups all across the country at this point, and have those in place. And I think your last part of that was on
just about
Existing
protected green
and
space.
certainly, and I'll use Colwood as an example. Colwood will probably be brought together of a lot of existing different protected areas, including some that are already in the federal family.
Okay, and agricultural as well? Yeah.
So we are looking at that as we move forward. Certainly, as I'll say, Member Carey probably well knows as well, that places like the Rouge, there is an agricultural component, and we certainly see that as part of how we would move forward.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
I'm going to give myself a question or two, actually. I've had some mail from constituents, and I don't need long answers, who are concerned about the Trans-Canada Trail and if funding for that will be extended. I don't know if you have any insight on that. And secondly, I know that you're looking closely at the land around the Dorval Airport, apparently at Trudeau Airport, and doing what you can to preserve as much of that as possible. And so I just encourage you to keep us in mind in the West Island around that issue. But so I don't know if you know about the Trans-Canada, if there's been a request to extend funding for the Trans-Canada Trail. I don't know if who would like to answer that. It's a very technical question, I know, and I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Andrew can answer on the
Yeah,
Trans-Canada
okay, thank
Trail,
you.
for sure.
So the Trans-Canada Trail funding was funding that came in a previous budget and is sunsetting. So I think we will all be waiting to see as we move forward in the federal budget.
Thanks very much. Well, Minister, I
And
want
on
to
the
thank.
park,
Yes, go ahead, please. Yes.
we are having ongoing conversation with the Minister and Ministry of Transportation, Aéroport de Montréal, as well as the City of Montreal, to try and find a project that we can all agree on regarding the lands you were speaking
Wonderful,
of.
wonderful. Thank you very much for your attention to that. Yes, yes.
I was just wondering, I know that we had Mr. Carey on, for the last question. I'm just wondering whether.
I don't have his name here.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that. I would have tried to accommodate. Well, Minister, thank you for your appearance. Thank you for a lively and informative discussion. I think we all come away from this with some new information and insights. We look forward to seeing you again. Members, we're going to take a very brief break to bring in some new witnesses, and then we'll get going for our second hour. Thank you again, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you to the members of the committee.
Thank you.
Merci. Merci beaucoup.